And we're live. All right. So, welcome to Upturned Table. And this is something a little new. We haven't done this before. I guess we did a little bit of discussion. I guess it was about what, Blade Runner, Alien. We talked about one of the systems before, but we didn't specifically do kind of a campaign confessions, postmortem of an actual play series that we did. And so this will be Vaesen by Free League, and we played the entire collection of A Wicked Secret and Other Mysteries adventures. Right, so and now you're hearing me loop somehow. Okay, there we go. Okay, and so I'm Jeremy, and with me are Matt, Will, and Matt and Will. Just Matt and Will. Hey, guys.
Hey!
That's right.
Hello!
Back to the good old days.
Hello to Anonymous, apparently.
Yes, Anonymous. All right, sorry about that. So we were just going to talk a bit about what our experiences were with the game, and and probably what the future is, because there are a lot more mysteries published. There's new locations. I think we got basically Transylvania coming up, and a new, like a more epic campaign in Stockholm. So there's a lot of stuff coming out. So so let's just start, basically at the beginning and talk a little bit about. So let's start with you, Will, and so what was your character? And kind of what was the idea and origin for the character, and how did you kind of come up with the your concept?
Well, I think it's something that I had brought up originally to Matt, and then he ran with, kind of was what we made characters, because I was talking about I don't remember, I know there's a lot of them, but like one of the things I think about is the Wheel of Time. There's like Moraine and Lan, which is like the main sorceress lady from the first couple books, and her like warder, who's the warrior that protects her. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a really cool relationship of kind of like, you think one's subordinate to the other, but the bodyguard's actually in charge a lot because he's the one who's keeping her safe. And that type of relationship type of thing that I thought was really cool. And I said, we should try to do something like that. At the time I was thinking about me being the bodyguard guy. Mm-hmm. But I talked about Matt, and Matt was like, yeah, that does sound cool. And then as we talked more about it and came in to start making characters, Matt went kind of, I don't know if we were talking about Vaesen specifically, but Matt went with the older, like, protective physical guy. And so I was like, okay, I gotta make the person who's, I was thinking, it's just like, what was in that Conan movie? The second one, or was that the one that wasn't a Conan movie, where there's like the young kid? Anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm rambling. Sorry. But I kind of came up, I was kind of made my guy Aksel on the idea of being like a hyper competent know-it-all guy, but doesn't have a lot of real world sense, mm-hmm. and relying on Matt's guy to, like, like as we played it in the game a lot, Matt's guy to feed and clothe and wipe my behind and take care of me as we walked. Well, I mean, I thought it was implied, but maybe I misread how your character went. Nice. But and so that's kind of where I like originally came with, and then it was, I put detective, and at one point I said Batman, but not really Batman. Batman minus the kung fu, but it was the idea of a rich, like detective, mm-hmm. and then but really relying on this other guy who is, in air quotes, his subordinate, but probably makes a lot of the decisions and handles most of the stuff in real life.
Right. So was this a usual type of character that you have kind of played before, or was this like totally different from something you would have chosen?
I think to start out was totally different. That was kind of the goal, was to, because we were playing like as a two players, mm-hmm. the goal was kind of make an actual pair that had, in my mind, something going on more than we're both adventurers, or whatever it is. Have a like a familial relationship, which a lot of times I feel like in most, I think the cliche is in most role-playing games, it's like, my whole family was killed. I'm out for vengeance, right? And that's kind of the backstory for most Vaesen characters. So then to have like some actual family in a way and connection stuff was, I thought, neat, and what the goal was with this particular guy.
Nice. Very cool. And how about you, Matt? What was, I guess, Will kind of answered a lot of that, but what was kind of your inspirations for your character and how you played him?
Well, first off, I think Will was started off by going for. He was trying to make a Conan the Destroyer analogy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
where I was Wilt Chamberlain and you were the princess, but
yes, exactly, 100%. That's where I was going. I was a princess.
okay.
oh, that's a much better game. Why didn't we do that?
I'm glad we didn't pursue that vibe too far. Oh,
There's aspects, Matt. Aspects of it, not 100%.
no, I thought it would be fun. It's not the sort of character that I think I've usually played. Like someone like when we play in our local group, we're usually playing like I don't know, a group of adventurers.
Right.
So there's not usually a like sort of employer-employee relationship ever going on. So I thought that was kind of a fun idea that we had hit upon.
Yeah.
And then you actually, I was thinking of a character, Will, that you played in Call of Cthulhu a million years ago. Your Jonathan Prince character.
He was a rich guy too, but crazy because it was Call of Cthulhu. So a little, yeah.
Yeah, a little different. Yeah.
But you know what? They both ended up following the same tropes of just throwing money at all their problems.
Right.
That seems to be how my rich characters work, which is how a lot of, I guess, rich
But
characters.
Axel was cool because he was all in on learning about the spooky stuff, and I think your Call of Cthulhu character kind of wanted to just pretend like none of it really was happening, right?
Well, because I was actively, when we were playing that game, I remember I made it quite a few sessions without actually seeing any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like I purposely was like, every time something happened, I'd be like, my character goes to the other room to do this, and then I'd always come back and what's everyone freaking out about? And that was kind of the joke with that.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun, and to play an older guy when we do kind of fall into our routines. Will's usually the one playing the older guy.
Okay.
So it's kind of fun to play the older guy, and then I like the idea of being really reserved and judgmental. I thought that was fun, and
So did you make?
he created opportunities for interpersonal clashes.
Yeah, and in the session 0, you made reference to, I don't know if it was a British comedy or if it was a drama, like a.
Jeeves and Wooster.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
our characters very much fit in with the Jeeves and Wooster books or stories.
Oh,
or
nice. Okay.
BBC teleplays, if you watch that kind of thing.
Nice.
Jeeves is the consummate man's man. Not man's man. What do you call that? Like the Batman, the butler and everything for this rich playboy guy.
Mm-hmm.
Although Nils is smart, and in that show, Bertie Wooster is the character. He's not smart. Or Axel's not. Axel is smart, and his equivalent in that show is not smart.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. So we're talking, of course, about Aksel Olafrsson. So the detective archetype, 17-year-old Axel, and then Nils Hornqvist, a 63-year-old manservant butler. So those were the character types, and so you said, Matt, that this was kind of a new type of character for you to play, like somebody in the employ of another character. And I think that worked. We were just 3 people, so it was a nice small group. So yeah, you had the freedom to make it, very specific. And I think in a way, what we ran into right away is because you were playing a butler, there's a default NPC for that kind of first scene that's a butler. So we really quickly changed gears, and we'll talk a little bit about that later in the our kind of world building and the setting to kind of answer some questions that have been asked. But so overall, Vaesen is a game that it's kind of supernatural investigation. All the characters have the sight. They all are able to see these these magical creatures and ghosts and the undead. Very Constantine kind of John Constantine style, or Sixth Sense, I guess. And so the commonality with the characters, or how they're connected, is they're drawn into this society. So there's this group of these gifted people that are working together to. Some of them want to strike a balance and learn how to live in harmony with these magical creatures, and the encroaching kind of industrialization of the late 19th century is causing a lot of conflict between modernization and the old ways. And so some want to, are because of, Christianity and the newer religion in Scandinavia, they're seeing them as, the spawn of Satan, and they need to be removed. They need to be eliminated, while others are trying to understand them. And I think Aksel, I think very early in the early scenes, he was asked about his opinion of it, like which side do you fall on, because he was confronted with the kind of more Christian-based, more kill 'em all based NPC, and so you were kind of writing the line. Did that change at all over the course of the campaign? Do you think you?
I think so, because I think that, I mean, again, I was trying to be naive at the beginning, and then I because there's the way the game works, right? We're kind of jumping forward 6 months or something between like kind of narrative arcs that we're doing. So yeah, I started out being like, I felt that he was supposed to be really book smart. Because I know like the second or third adventure, kind of, we had this whole thing where we invited people over and like news reporters and everything, and I was trying to talk about how I was bringing back the society and how I'm going to merge like new things and old things together. So I think that I think his original idea was interest in it, right? Because like in this, you have your trauma, and his trauma is that his father was killed by a Vaesen, and then I just have next to it, what was it? Why did it do it? Like his whole life had been. This is the canon I had. His father died when he was very, very young, and then his mother died shortly thereafter from maybe repercussions of the supernatural event, or just from the shock of it. And then he was raised by Nils for the rest of his life until he was 17 here. So in my mind, he was someone that had this driving. He had like the Batman thing where it's like, my parents were killed. What's going on? I must do this. And then he had this older person who kind of became his father figure, who also had the sight and probably had his own stuff going on. So in my headcanon, like Nils had been was always pushing and pulling on him, trying to get him to do this stuff, but also didn't want him to ever be in danger, right? So it's like, I feel like he was probably initiated and helped and supported him in a lot of the early on decisions he made. And so I feel like early on I was kind of like, oh, I want to learn stuff and I want to like bring everyone together. And I think by the end he was much more like, oh, I think I need to like take a more active role and instead of being like the person who joins together. I think I have to start like kind of taking control of stuff myself, because I don't know if the old ways are going to work or the new ways are going to work. I mean, that's why I felt like, because as we were playing, I felt like I was just continuously trying to, every time a weird situation was happening, I like was kind of like, oh, bring those people back and educate them and put them in college and all like support. Like I felt like he was trying to like again like kind of be the guy to step in and fix everything, but as a naive, late teen,
right,
like thinking he can just like he had the wherewithal basically to fix all the problems.
Yeah, right. Okay. And Matt, you played Nils as kind of anti-religion, or suspicious, I guess, suspicious of religion. What do you think his like ultimate opinion of Vaesen is? Is it something that needs to be understood, or just dealt with? Dealt with.
Like he's got a couple, like his trauma involved him seeing his army buddy. Like the whole idea in my mind was we had been recently. back up, Matt. Back up. Nils had recently, at the start of the story, Nils had been mustered out of the military after fighting wars on Sweden's behalf, and he sees his buddy possessed by a Vaesen, like, and he ended up killing his buddy because of it. And then, to make things worse, his buddy also had been mustered out, was on his way to a new job he had gotten as a butler. And so Nils isn't really Nils. He assumed the identity of his buddy, took that job, and spent years and years and years as the butler to this family, and then to Aksel specifically. And so from that trauma and from the fact that he's literally living a lie, he kind of doesn't trust anything. So he doesn't trust the priests. Whenever we had encounters with religious figures, he was super, I'm not having it. And then when he perceives Vaesen as a threat, period, like that's part, because he's seen what they can do, and because he's someone who has probably some lingering sort of PTSD going on. So he's just like, he doesn't trust anything. He's living a lie, so he's projecting that distrust inside him out on the world, basically.
Right. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I really like, Matt, what you did with Nils as far as the details of the dishes he would prepare for Aksel.
Oh, yeah.
And there was so much flavor, and that was so much fun to listen to, because you injected that just at the right time, and there was always, some busy work that Nils was up to, while things were getting going.
Yeah, it was fun to think about, like, because I wanted him to be very, very take charge, so, sort of like, in this time where it's just me and Aksel living together, it kind of, because Aksel would be lost in his studies, obviously. So I think Nils just naturally took control of everything. So it was fun to think about the things he would be doing. And because they are from a very, Aksel is a very wealthy person, I wanted to make sure that, Nils was reflecting that sort of standard of living. So the food seemed like a fun way to do that.
Yeah, it was good. And Will, I really liked what happened with Aksel as you were encountering this industrialization, like this, lumber businesses and fishing industry, like butting up against these, mythical creatures. And then Aksel realizing, hey, there's money to be made here, or hey, I can just buy out this business and take advantage of what's going on. I think that really emphasized the tension of the setting. There is really, they state that in the rules and in the background, that it is industrialization versus the old ways, and that's the tension, and that's why they chose the late 19th century. So you did a really good job with that, and I think immediately with some of your character choices that put you in opposition, like, okay, you're going to resurrect the society, but they're going to be a money-making venture. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, well, and I think that, and I feel like from Aksel's standpoint, right, he was doing it for good purposes. Right, like he wasn't like, oh, if I could do this, then I can strip mine this or whatever. He's like, oh, if I buy this, then we can maybe artisanally mine, whatever. That sounds bad. Not artisanal mining. That's bad. We can, bespoke. No, that's still not good. Yeah, but we can still go and I can still maybe keep this town. Like in his mind, he could buy something, make some money off of it, and then also keep everything from falling apart. But I don't know, like at the same time, he's a kid. It's because we're usually going to other cities of that. It's like he's always off doing other things. I don't know how much he ran the business, right?
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of like do that and then give it to the lawyer, so who knows what happened on the other end. Yeah.
Nice. So what did you guys think of the setting? Because it's pretty original, Free League being a Swedish publisher, to set it in this time and use, they were inspired, of course, by the Egerkrantz book, the Vaesen. Johan Egerkrantz did a book of Vaesen just describing, kind of like a I don't know, not really a monster manual, but just a book of describing these magical creatures.
It was like an art coffee table book,
Right.
basically.
Right, and so that was the inspiration for what you were facing in the setting. Did you like? Was it difficult, or did you like kind of mythic Scandinavia in the 19th century?
Oh, I loved it. Speaking for myself, like it's so and that's where like because it has historical references, but then it is also very much a mythic, not the real version of 19th century Sweden. Like it was fun because it kind of gave us a little license to play around with stuff. Like there were several times where Nils would draw upon his experience in the military and like say bad things about like Russians and what have you. And it's like, because, you know, in real Sweden, that's kind of shit happened. But in this world, it's kind of whatever we want it to be. Right. So
Right.
that was fun. And then, you know, any game, like the more you bring, I think there's more opportunity for creativity and adventure, the less technology is around. So the fact that it's like a 19th century thing was kind of cool. So we you know, we still could like carry a revolver, although we sucked at using guns. I think the one time we really tried to use them. You know, or we could ride a train, but we weren't like phoning home or or you know, getting a helicopter to pull us out of places, which is what a rich guy would do now.
Right.
You know. Yeah. So no, I liked it a lot.
Oh, good. And Will, what did you think about the setting, the time, and the setting?
Yeah, I think that it kind of what Matt was saying there. To me, it's. I'm going to talk about the negative things about like more contemporary settings. Is it's more real and hard to get into the fantasy aspects, and I think that this was just it was just at the right time. Like Matt was saying, like there's some technology, like it's not insane for there to be like trains and that type of stuff, but you're not gonna ever go on the internet or or make phone calls or do those types of things really. So it still left, it just kind of took one step closer to, I guess, modernity, but not I don't think you can go any further in my mind and still keep a real fantasy thing that feels the same. I know there's lots of fantasy contemporary setting stuff, but for me, I know I've always had trouble with modern settings where it's just like, oh, I'll just Google it, or you know, like there's a lot of stuff that doesn't feel right, and this I think was just the right amount. And the fact that it was kind of engaged the fact that it's like, well, this is kind of that whole century, so like it's kind of however you want it to feel. You know, like there's some more contemporary, like some more modern stuff from a perspective, but then there's also stuff that's from like, you know, 1810 in there too, that is gonna, like, you know, like you can do in terms of culture or other things like that. So for me it worked well, and I think that it was exactly as modern as I want a fantasy setting, because I know we had joked about doing, or maybe not joked, but we had talked about doing a contemporary one, and that could be fun, but I think it's going to lose some of the, like, you have to always be like, oh, there's no cell phone reception, right? It's the thing that happens in all the movies. Like every time there's a slasher movie and a contemporary movie, oh, there's no cell reception here. But the phone lines are cut. We can't get the internet. You know, it's like you have to go through all this stuff in order to be like, okay, now you're completely isolated and stuff can happen.
Right. And
you're in the mountain chalet and you're snowed in, guys. Sorry.
And so the game we played just prior to this, on our first actual play, was another Year Zero game, Blade Runner. So that's a big shift in technology, because you guys were always able to communicate with each other, and you know, you were able to move quickly between places in flying cars, and you know, a lot was different in that setting. So how do you think the Year Zero system worked in Vaesen? Did it do everything you needed it to, and it kind of serve all the purposes? And did you like the fear tests? Did those work to kind of keep you, you know, keep your character kind of on edge and you know, possibly like you know, freezing up? Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I think the fear stuff, I feel like it wasn't as there isn't really a gradient in it, right? Like, so there was a lot of the times, because I had very high mental stats. There was a lot of times in my memory where something would happen, and then Nils would freeze up, or something bad would happen with him, and then Aksel was kind of like this kid running around on his own, being like, "I'll fix the problem. I know how to solve a ghost. I'll just ad lib as we go." And it worked really well on a 2-person thing. I don't know how I would feel if we were playing like a 4 or 5-person thing. If we're playing a big group, and all of a sudden 2 of the people are just like, "Oh, I'm completely shut down and not going to be playing this scene," right? Whereas like when there's 2 of us playing as players, I'm talking about here, not there's 3 of us total. Obviously, you were there too, if I remember right. When something happens, like we're basically handing off scenes or whatever it is. It's kind of one of us does something, and if we run off on our own, that's still interesting because it's the one guy doing his thing, and there's one kind of like observer. Whereas I think that I could see the fear, at least the lockup mechanic of it, being something that could frustrate some people if they're not ready for it, or if they're not going to play into it.
Right.
But like, this is what talking about the fantasy stuff, because I was just saying the modern settings don't really work, but that's how come Blade Runner worked, right? Is that it wasn't a fantasy game. It was a kind of like a procedural detective thing. And this is procedural detective too, in a way, but you're dealing with fantasy stuff. I don't think the fantasy stuff works as well, right? Like this is interesting because you're out in the woods, or you're out in some place somewhere, and it's like, okay, there's this isolated thing. We got to figure out what's going on and resolve this, and it's on us to do this. Whereas with Blade Runner, it was, okay, call in for some black and whites to come and take care of that. We need to do this over here. Like, call in a strike team to take out those people. It had a very different feel, which I think is the modern, what the modern lens can add to these games is that feel, as opposed to with this. Yeah, I enjoy the fact that it was always just the 2 of us out in the middle of nowhere, and then stuff started going crazy, and we're like, all right, let's let's see how we can talk our way out of this. Because again, in this game, you don't really want to fight like when we're playing Blade Runner. Don't get me wrong, guns are deadly in Blade Runner, but it's like, oh, there's a bad guy. Well, we'll shoot him. I mean, we're detectives, so we talk to people too. We didn't shoot everybody, but in Vaesen, I felt like there was. I mean, you don't want to directly engage in combat with things because they will kill you in a hole. That can happen.
Right. Yeah. And just listening back to the rolls and everything, the actual physical, rolling the tests that you guys made, it seemed to work really well. It seemed to be very satisfying. Like, it went wrong at some really great times, and you were successful and competent at times, and some key moments that really made the story interesting. Like, Nils would just freeze up, and that was very very fun. What did you think, Matt, about that? Were you frustrated at all, or did the Year Zero system work well?
No, I'm not frustrated at all. The nice thing about I love the Year Zero system. It's one of my all-time favorites. But in this particular iteration, you can push a roll, and then you take a condition, right? And then or if we have the fear thing, something happens to me because of the fear thing. So it's not for people who maybe are. I don't know if it's would be great for people that are super new to role playing, or some people just don't want to do that stuff. They want to know when it's their turn and roll the die to swing their axe or whatever. But I actually really enjoy the conditions.
Yeah.
And the fear effect. So I never got frustrated. I mean, the closest I would get to frustrated would be the fact that now I know that Will/Aksel is in trouble.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm not really frustrated. Like, I'm actually kind of amused usually.
Right.
But when you take a condition, like if you take I should have the rule book open right now. Where are those stupid conditions at? But you take a condition and give me one. I'm blanking on what they are.
Yeah, they are exhausted, battered, wounded, broken, angry, frightened, hopeless. Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, like, they're very. They should be narratively inspiring, just in that word, right? So if I'm angered, now I get to play angry, and that's kind of fun to me. I think it worked really well. I never got frustrated. I could see, like Will's saying, in a bigger group, you're probably just the law of averages. You're going to get a player who doesn't respond to those things positively,
Right.
and just gets annoyed that they can't do the thing that they want to do.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person that would be on the deck of the Titanic, laughing my ass off with the guys playing the violins behind me, like.
Right.
But some people aren't gonna enjoy that. So it's kind of like, a lot of games we talk about now have some sort of like fail forward mechanic or ethic to them. Like, I see the conditions and the fear effects as being in that vein, really. Like they're challenges to they're role playing challenges. But they're not going to stymie my fun. Like, and in a lot of cases, they're hilarious and they make it more fun in a way.
Nice. And Will mentioned that he liked, that just the two of you being out in the countryside or on this remote island and having to deal with the weirdness that was going on. So that's the structure of all of the mysteries. So what did you think of the gameplay being structured in these mysteries, like these, kind of jobs that you had to, go out and investigate? Did you like that structure, or would you have preferred something a little more sandbox or kind of?
No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Good.
For me, episodical like that was fun. Like I liked it. I guess probably the biggest bummer for me when Nils died was I felt like we were probably just starting to get to where the sort of overarching thing of us and these other secret societies, and stuff was starting to become more of a apparent. So I felt like we were on our way to sort of that X-Files vibe where it's like Monster of the Week, grand story episode, Monster of the Week, grand story episode. You know what I mean? Like we were getting towards that rhythm, which I think would have been really cool.
Yeah, that's true. That was a things were really really heating up, and that was the fun thing to do. Is there was you encountered a secret society, the Free Ones, in one of the adventures, and then there was a built-in kind of the Rosenbergers were kind of an oppositional force. They were the religious force that kind of tore the society into kind of two factions that believed, live in harmony or exterminate, basically, with the Vaesen. And so those were being introduced and kind of pulling you, in directions. And we didn't get to the point yet where we could really explore those. So that is a shame. So, Will, did this game feel like horror for you? Was this a horror game?
You know what? I think that's on me that it didn't feel like a horror game. I can see it feeling like a horror game, but I can't imagine ever like hanging out with friends and talking. Like, I can't imagine you, Matt, like being scary things to me, if that makes sense. So like it's hard for me to like really get like a horror vibe from things, because there's not that, like, I understood it from external thing, but for me personally, no, it didn't feel like horror. But I don't know if that was, again, because of my mindset of playing with friends, we're playing it on computers, like I'm sitting here staring at a bright screen and we're laughing and stuff like that. So I that can maybe be it, because I was always thinking about motivations and like how Aksel's gonna buy this thing. So I never had time to worry about, and maybe that's also how I was playing Aksel too. Right. Was kind of like, oh, there's this horror thing going on. Well, no problem, I can handle it. This is what I spent my whole life preparing for. So I don't think he saw it as horror. So I guess maybe I didn't see it as horror.
Yeah, interesting. How would you compare this game to Call of Cthulhu? I guess that would be the. Yeah.
That's a good question.
It does. It's. I feel like Call of Cthulhu, at least the Chaosium, or whatever it is, the one that I'm used to, the percentage based one. Is that Chaosium? Was that basic role playing? Like, I feel like that game, because you have a sanity score that goes down and practically never goes up, and like this, Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu feels like inevitability that you're just seeing how long you can grind out your character before it all falls apart. Whereas, at least playing this, I felt like it was we are the kind of like the wall that's, or maybe not the wall, because I didn't feel like we were holding something back. Like I felt like we were the thing that was stitching or holding two things together, right? Like the whole like the thing of like industrialization versus nature or whatever you want to think about. Like at least the way we were playing, I felt like we were always between those things, and it wasn't us that was being assaulted. It was them destroying each other, and then us stepping in to try to fix it. So I still felt very mortal and like just like a person, but I felt like from a character drive thing, I felt way more like we were the heroes of the story, as opposed to the people that the story was happening to, for lack of a better term.
Interesting. And what do you think, Matt? Like, how would you compare the two games?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much in line with Will. Like, I think there's an underlying existential dread built into Cthulhu that you don't have in Vaesen. Like, you could easily get just eviscerated by some crazy supernatural creature in Vaesen, but you feel like you have a chance or a hope. Like, yeah, you don't lose track. You don't have to stop being like a normal person. Like, you can still have, you can play a character that still has hopes and dreams and desires and stuff, where I feel like in Call of Cthulhu, if you're playing an ongoing campaign after like the second adventure, you're radically changed for your all time,
Right.
Like the world you don't look at the world the same after a couple adventures of Cthulhu.
And it might be how it's led into, right? Like in Cthulhu, at least when we played it, I always felt like we were normal people, and then, or we were people who maybe someone has some points in a cult or something, but like we're just people living our lives, like in the 20s, and then boom, King in Yellow or something like that, right? And you're like, what's going on? Reality is melting. I don't understand anything. Am I even real, or am I just thoughts made flesh? I don't understand. Whereas in this, there's a trauma that happened in your past, and you're like, because of this, now I have this perspective that no one else has, and I'm the one who can go in and like. And it feels like you're stepping into, again, to be active in it, whereas Cthulhu, it feels like you're just, like I said, you're just it's a continuous grind that you're seeing, like how the heroics in Cthulhu is how long can I stand against this grind in a way, or when do I make the decision to just put on a vest of dynamite and run into the the Shoggoth lair or whatever it is, right?
Right.
Like that's kind of how. Whereas with this, I never felt like, I always felt, I mean, the way it's set up, right, is people come to us and are like, hey, you're people who know things. Can you go investigate and figure out what's going on here? We know there's something funky going on. And you're like, sure, I can do that. I'm the person you go to for that. I think the attitude that you're coming at it at is much more, I think heroic's the wrong term, but you're much more proactive in Forbidden Land. Not Forbidden Land, sorry. In Vaesen. Sorry, I was thinking the wrong game there. As opposed to in Cthulhu, where I feel like, at least from a character standpoint, you're a more reactive character, where you're like, oh, I'm here, things are happening, how do we get out?
Yeah.
Right,
it's there's a sweet spot that I think Vaesen fills, because if you have like Call of Cthulhu on the one side, that's like the you're all doomed existential dread kind of side, and then you have like, there's a lot of games now that are kind of like pulp Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Where you're Indiana Jones punching deep ones in the face.
Right.
and then this is like in the middle for me, and I think that's where I want to live most of the time. Like,
Nice. Yeah,
because there's something a little ridiculous about the Pulp Cthulhu stuff, which I'm sure would be amusing for a little while, but after a while, I think I'd be my old like Cthulhu playing history would make me go, "This is getting out of hand and stupid now."
yeah. Right. Yes. So our campaign was mostly consisted of the all of the mysteries in A Wicked Secret and Other Mysteries. So that's the cover you're seeing now. So before we talk about the individual mysteries, I wanted to ask you guys, what were some of your like favorite moments or favorite memories of the campaign? I know it's been years. It's been years since we played, but what do you remember? Anything that happened in the game that was really fun or really unique or just memorable for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was the in between stuff.
Oh yeah.
So, like for me, it was like that time again. It was there was a reporter that was asking around, and then we're like, well, let's make a dinner of it, and then we invited like a reporter and some like a chaplain or something. We like invited a bunch of people, and we had a whole thing. That's something I always like in games. I think I really like the. I mean, I like the going in and punching Shoggoths, not Shoggoths. That you can't punch Shoggoths in the face. Going and punch deep ones in the face. Yeah, you could. I guess you could punch one, but does it even have a face to punch? That's the question.
Yeah.
But it was the kind of like between adventures stuff, which I feel like a lot of the Free League stuff tries to focus on. Right, is having the like the base that you're building.
Yeah.
Or that type of a thing that I think is the stuff that I mean I remember the individual events, but I think that's the stuff that beforehand when I'm in a study doing stuff and Nils is bringing me some nice tasty treats, or we're doing some research beforehand, or we're prepping and reading books, or Nils is cleaning his guns or whatever beforehand. I think that's the stuff that for me felt good and was the thing that made like our characters feel like characters, because once we were on scene, then I felt like we were doing the X-Files thing. We showed up, we're like, hi, we're people, we're here to do something. Now we're playing the game in terms of trying to solve the Vaesen issue, as opposed to before that we were like, now we're building characters. I like the fact that there is that, like, you're doing this character thing and then you get on a train, you go across country, now you're out in the boonies somewhere, go solve this problem with the giants.
Right.
But it is kind of nice that all that character building, which I really enjoyed that too. Like Nils, the whole thing with Nils being picky about would-be female suitors for Aksel. I really enjoyed that a lot. But I think we carried like the stuff we did and those little in-between things with us into the adventures. And it kind of, we might reference them from time to time. It was fun. Some of the in-adventure stuff, like this, that whole thing where I think it's Wicked Secret. It's the one with the mermaid goddess person.
Oh, okay.
And that weird family.
Yes.
Our whole like attempt. I'm easily amused by things going wrong. So like our whole like attempt to get the jump on those two brothers that completely failed.
Right.
I found that hilarious.
Yeah, I think that was the Silver of the Sea. Yeah, is the mermaid.
Mermaid
there
mystery.
You go. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, let's take a look at it. So I'll put these up on the screen. So first we played the included adventure in the core rule book, The Dance of Dreams, and it's just a quick little adventure. You start out in Uppsala and you kind of just go outside the city, and there's a little inn, on a lonely road in a snowstorm, and you encounter kind of a haunting or a possession there. And then we went to it's only 4. Yeah, it felt like many more, and I guess maybe because of Star Trek and some of the other ones where we had long lists of adventures. So A Wicked Secret and Other Mysteries is 4 mysteries. And so the first one that we played after the Dance of Dreams was the Silver of the Sea, and that is the fishing village and the the mermaid. Yes, so there is a sacrifices being made for abundance in this little fishing village, and a very weird family has kind of assumed control of everything. And yeah, and they have there's two odd brothers that Matt was referring to. So yeah, that was fun. Excuse me. Because yeah, you were isolated. Like you went out onto this island, and this was the one that had the most, maybe compared to the other mysteries, could have the most, kind of apocalyptic ending. Like there was a possibility that things could go terribly wrong, and basically, yeah, you were going to be wiped out or washed up on a distant shore if things went really wrong. But yeah, and it was fun, like having the way that they described these characters, like the matriarch of the family, with her shotgun and everything being very, very, gruff and disturbing, and then the creepy sons, and then the son, probably not of this family, the guy that smelled like fish and looked a lot different than everybody else.
Yeah. Tonally, that was the most like Lovecraftian adventure I think we did.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
It just felt like kind of a Lovecraftian thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, it had a very Innsmouth, like
the
right.
Weird family and all the sea themes.
Yes,
and stuff.
yeah, the herring baron. That's right.
Oh yeah, there they are, Pete and Pace.
Yes, the wonderful brothers that couldn't get beaten down. And some beautiful art. The illustrations are so good. And then the next one after this was the spoilers. The next one after this, I guess yeah, we did play A Wicked Secret. So this was the one that had the kind of
the cat demon.
Yeah,
thing?
kind of giant cat demon haunting the church, or that was digging around at the church. So yeah, you were brought into, and I forget the this was the log. I think this was the logging situation. Yeah, that's right. The Von Meyer brought you in to kind of calm things down because he wanted to. And this, of course, yeah. So it ended up. So the Silver of the Sea ended up with a big tidal wave at the end, and then Aksel then took over the herring industry on that island. And then this one where we're dealing with this the cat demon. I think basically Aksel negotiated with Van Meyer to split the lumber revenue that was coming in from this area, so that his wealth grew exponentially.
Aksel was surprisingly savvy when he wanted to be.
Right. Yes. Yeah, so this is this tiny village in the that's right, with the mother and daughter, and yeah,
we brought them back with us. I think, didn't we put the daughter through college?
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, we should count how many people we sent back to Stockholm.
Yeah.
I know there was a sailor guy in the previous adventure
That's
we
right.
sent back.
Yep.
And there was a broken little girl in the ghost inn thing.
Right.
And
because I bought that in, and then like. I just bought it every time we went anywhere. I bought it.
Oh, that's right, because the father in that adventure doesn't make it, and so you Aksel felt responsible. The girl around his age and an inn that she inherited, but needed help running.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, so the mother and daughter, you brought them back and helped her get educated, because they were kind of, I think they were fighting over the ownership of this the logging rights in this village, and when things went very badly, Dorothea Skeet. That's right.
Did you do I'm skipping ahead, but did you do like a financial deal with on the troll adventure too, Will?
I don't think I did on that one. That one didn't feel like there was a lot. There wasn't like an industry, because that was more like the church versus, and I couldn't buy the church. So
right. That's right. But you did scatter the trolls into the wilderness. Yeah, never to be seen again. But yeah, that's right. Yeah, but there wasn't anything to be won.
I remember you trying to take pictures of them.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I was like, that was the session. I think that the first part was the part where we had that big meeting with everybody. So when I got there, I'm like, all right, I've made this big commitment. I'm saying I'm bringing both in. There's ways for both of these like views to work. I'm going to take pictures of the thing and legitimize stuff. And then he didn't even, I couldn't do it. It didn't happen.
Yes, yeah. So the monster, the cat demon in this one, this was the one that I was afraid was going to kill you guys because this thing is really formidable. And it does actually, depending on how things go, it would have massacred almost every one of the NPCs that you were involved with. So yeah, I was really worried that was going to happen. Yeah, but it didn't end up. So this was the one I was the most afraid of was actually the most harmless. And then we got to, then I skipped. So the night sow, for some reason, there was just something about it. It was like, let's do the last one first and then come back to the night sow. So it was very funny that I actually took the one that ended up being our ultimate episode for this campaign and pushed it back later. So so the one we played next was the troll. Yeah, it was the Song of the Falling Star. So the troll, and it was actually like a relative. I think there was you had a connection, like a cousin, cousin that you had to sort out his weird love and obsession with the trolls and their music. Yeah.
Changeling baby and
that's right. Yeah, this one ended up.
There was a lot going on.
Yeah, being very disturbing. Yeah, in the moonlight, you could see that it wasn't human, and really.
I think that's what and it's because I think the angle at least I came at it was. My character was always trying to like put on the face that like, no, I'm like, I don't want to upset the old world. I don't want to upset the new world. I'm trying to like be nice to be like, when we talk to priests, I was like, would quote scripture kind of. Right. I know scripture. I don't know any scripture, but anyway, I quote scripture to him and be like, no, I understand your stuff. And then when we talk to the old world people, I'd be like, no, I get what you guys are talking about. And I feel like that's what, if you're playing a character who's doing that, I feel like you do one of two things. Either you're doing the foot in both worlds thing, or you're generally doing, well, you could be like Nils and be like, I have a foot in either world, which is kind of the same thing as a foot in both worlds, right? Like you have the same attitude towards both, or you're going with, I'm kind of on this one side and I'm hostile to the other side. And because we were playing it kind of down the middle for everything, I feel like we gotta engage with everybody more because we were actually, everyone was kind of like a contact for us as opposed to just being overtly hostile to like half of the NPCs in the story.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I think this was the one you dealt. The troll story was the one you dealt most with the church. Yeah, because they were in the big opposition. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Father Cornelius of the Russian Orthodox Church. Yeah, was the one you had to charm and convince of it, because I think they wanted to take the baby as well. Like the church wanted to take possession of the baby, and it was a whole thing. Yeah, so that's right. So the Song of the Falling Star was our penultimate mystery, but we ended it with, of course, the Night Sow.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. So, and I really didn't think I knew that the way that they depicted this Vaesen, this monster, was going to be pretty scary. But it all depended on how things went down. So you ended up at this hotel in this resort area, and you had to do a bunch of climbing down into these rocks to find this ritual site where they summoned this horrible thing, and found out that this lighthouse keeper basically kept these evil spirits at bay, and but he used this night sow as a weapon, and he was there were the group of witches right at the hotel, and they were being taken out one by one by the night sow and his keeper.
Yeah, because wasn't it like the old creepy guy was coming off like real religious, but he was also using the Vaesen kind of thing?
Right. Yeah, he kind of.
So that's the kind of thing would just piss off Nils on multiple levels.
Right. Yeah, because he was being very righteous that these witches, were practicing satanic rituals, and at the same time, he was using the old ways to punish them. Yeah, and this had I added the detail. I don't think it's in the adventure, but I just played up the detail that there were a bunch of like horny Germans on the top floor that had basically turned the place
Oh,
into
yeah.
a sauna, like nudist colony sauna, and don't go up there.
Yeah, I seem to remember Nils being very, very, what do you call it? Very suspect of them.
Yes, yes. So, do you remember, Will? Did Axel rescue Lisa Svensson? Because she was the main kind of like employee of the hotel.
Well, you know what happened is I feel like we kind of knew this was going to be the last one for a little bit, and then because Nils died, and my idea for like in my mind was when the father figure died is Axel kind of goes off the deep end and becomes far more militant about everything. I don't think that I had envisioned him like I think that up until the point that Nils was going to die, I'm like, well, I guess I'm buying this place and saving this girl too. And then I think that the new plan was like, no, Axel's going to start coming at like, oh, this stuff's dangerous. When there's a threat, we got to put it down. Like we still want to research it, but we need to put it down. So like my mind was like, he's no longer taking in the helpless. He's probably going to start looking for the dangerous to build up a force to actually show up and do things. Was my idea for it. So yeah, I don't think that I saved that girl. Unfortunately, no.
And was this the adventure where Astrid Eriksson, the reporter, she comes later, like she was going to follow you guys to the hotel? Okay. Yeah.
Much to Nils' just anger, yes.
Right, that's right.
Because I remember now. I was trying to release like a book that had. That's why I wanted to take pictures of the giant stuff. I was trying to because. Right, the setting is people are aware of the society and they kind of know Vaesen exists, but they're still kind of fairy tale, and so that's why when like stuff happens, they come to us, right? Is because they're like, oh, I know this is supernatural stuff, and we'll go to the supernatural people to take care of it. And so I think, if I remember right, my point was with Axel was trying to legitimize that and actually being like, we're going to take pictures of stuff, and I'm going to release books with real scientific information about these things,
right?
And like because they're tangible physical things, so there's laws and rules regarding like trying to like scientifically quantify them type of a thing,
right?
So I think that's why he had invited her along, as he wanted someone to actually come and take pictures and take notes and research and promote us as being the people to come to for that type of a thing.
That's right.
I think I remember offering to buy the inn to the girl in this one. Like I was talking about doing it and being an investor, but then I don't know if that ever happened because right. his life shattered. And
yes.
Wasn't it like off season for them?
Yes, it was.
And maybe like, was there something with the owners weren't even there or something?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the owners weren't there, and it was kind of being run by a skeleton group. The staff was just a minimal crew, and so when these the witches and the Germans showed up, it was kind of they were off season getting a discount, and that's why things went out of control.
Yeah, Nils was really annoyed when the journalist lady showed up because he had like this weird standard for the kind of like what sort of background someone who might like court Axel should be from.
Right.
To the point where I think I was trying to distract Axel with the heroin addict lady.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting like, oh, you can't go here, like you're 17. Here's this 45-year-old like what do you want to call it, widower? You should marry, like, huh? And I'm like, what's going on here?
Right,
17-year-old kid. I don't know what's happening.
And that kind of goes back to what Will was saying earlier. Like those little things we did in between adventures. Sometimes it was literally just us describing one or two little things, and we didn't actually play it out. But just thinking about those little things, like Axel wants to have a party, so Nils is preparing the invitations, and he's going to make sure certain people didn't receive invitations. Just silly things like that were kind of fun.
Yes. All right. So now we've come to this moment of tragedy, and it's been memorialized in digital form in Foundry. So this is the last scene. Yeah, this is the last scene of the Night Sow, where everybody that and you had dug a pit trap, right? Like you had made you decided to do a trap, and it ended up being the place of Nils's demise. So yeah, this was our last scene, and all of the roles and all of the NPCs that were coming out to try to render aid, but they had to make a fear test to get anywhere near a place where this giant demonic boar was, and they kept failing. So everything that could possibly save Nils was not coming through. A lot of really bad rolls.
I think too, because it wasn't working the way we wanted it to. I should have gone back and listened to it again, but if I recall, I think what ended up happening, Will, is we needed to get it into the pit, so I went into the pit. I think I tried to bait it, because we did get it in the pit.
Right.
We did get it in the pit, but it then eviscerated me.
Right. Yeah, that's right, because you needed to do something to get out, and you were down to by the end, just like one die. Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, really rough. Yeah. So what do you remember from that moment, Will? What was Aksel's last thoughts?
I remember like of us trying to do stuff and just failing a lot, and then the problem kind of resolved itself, I think, and then I think that's when, because we knew this was the last. I knew that this was the last adventure we had in the book, and we were maybe going to play more in the future. But then Nils died, and then immediately my thoughts just went to okay, so what's Aksel going to do now? And that's where I was like, he's been this guy who's all dreamy and stuff like that, and then like fundamentally his dad just died, right? Like the man who in his mind has protected him, and his physical literally feeds him every day, and so my thoughts were just. Well, I think Aksel, this version of Aksel is over. Whenever we play, if we play again next week, or after that session, or if we play again in now 2 years, a year and a half, or something like that, Aksel's going to be a different character when we play next time. Now, whether or not I can actually represent that, we'll see if we get back into it. But that's what it was for me. I feel like a lot of games when. Like most fantasy RPGs, I feel like if a character dies, it's like, oh no, we go back to town and we meet someone else in the inn, and then we go back out adventuring again, right?
Right.
And I feel like because this felt like a much more intimate game when we were playing, that it's not going to be. This isn't Aksel doesn't just go home and then next session he's hired a new butler or something, right? It's like no, his dad's dead. His dad got killed, and like. I feel like the pit trap was probably Aksel's idea. I can't remember. So like I feel there's a lot of because he was always the one who was like saying what we were gonna do type of a thing. So I'm pretty sure that Aksel's plans killed Nils on some level. And so it was and that's when we started talking about what we're gonna do, and we joked about stuff and thought about like what we do with Nils maybe in the future being dead, or if we were going to jump forward and be doing stuff like in the United States in contemporary time, and have them be like descendants of Aksel, or even maybe Nils's family, because I don't think Nils had any kids. I don't believe so, right?
No.
So, but and that's where I think the little bit of before planning that happened, like the setup every time of us building, or at the end of every session when we added something to the house, and then we did a little role-playing thing of us, like I said, maybe just having dinner, or just the person coming to the castle to do stuff, made it feel like there was a life we were living.
Yeah.
And so then, when this happened, it made me think about how that life thing is going to be different, as opposed to, time to go get a new character type of a thing. It felt differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a real, consequence to it all.
Yeah.
You guys talk about it. I gotta step away for just 1 sec, so you guys keep talking.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So we have gone talked about a few options on how to continue. So and one of the options that was brought up, because this is the supernatural game, because it's Vaesen, there is a revenant. The revenant exists in this in this world. So, do you think that Aksel would go so far as to try to, bring back the dead and give Nils some purpose to return to life, and then not let him know that happened?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we had kind of talked about. Yeah, I mean, I imagine, like, again, Axel, in my mind, is supposed to be a really smart kid with tons of resources that's acquiring, right? Every time we go somewhere, I get all the weird fantasy stuff that's there and take it home and study it. I can definitely see him, and I think we talked about this, of us doing, like, if we do a next session of maybe us starting with some ritual that we do to bring Nils back, and Axel's just like, "Oh, good, we healed you. You're okay now.
Uh-huh.
Let's continue on." And Nils will be like, "Why do you look like you're 5 years older than last time I saw you?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just been a harrowing few days. Don't worry, you're fine."
Yeah, that would be fun. It would be fun to kind of come up with some mechanics. So you had to make like a series of rolls, and anything that you failed would like be a part of Nils that didn't make it, like his, some sort of training or some sort of like he would have lost some part of his memory, or it'd be fun to make it a ritual or some sort of ceremony, and things could go wrong, and if it was, he would come back a little bit altered,
and maybe some like some physical requirements or something, right? Where it's like, oh, well, I didn't, or maybe just always like there's I have to sacrifice certain, I have to burn this herb every morning, or something like that, to keep them going, type of thing. Like I think of the old black and white like mummy movies, right, where it's like they had to burn certain things to make it come to life, type of a thing, like that type of thing, like maybe some maintenance thing that is really arcane and weird that Axel will always be incredibly concerned about,
right?
And Nils will probably be like, "We don't have time for that. Let's just go." And it's like, "No, man, if I don't do this, either you're gonna go back to being nothing, or you're gonna become like a mad revenant that's gonna try to kill her." Like, but if I tell you, you're gonna be upset, and that might cause a problem anyways. I feel like that could be a fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you guys have collected a lot of interesting NPCs from the various adventures. So it's there's so much going on that it'll be fun to go back to that and explore kind of where those characters are, and what you can do with them, and how things have changed. Yeah, how things either have gotten better or worse for them. So that would be really
because I feel like from a character standpoint, it'd be good to jump forward like a year or 2 or 5 or something like that before that happens, so that they're. Like I said before, I really like games with, and not a lot of games I feel like focus on this a lot, of behind the scenes growth for your characters, right? Where it's like, now I'm, like I started out as a student in this college, and now I'm a teacher here, and now I'm the dean, like that type of stuff is interesting. I would like to see us try to go in that direction with this game, which it feels like with the building up of the castle, we could totally just throw like a couple, like, okay, it's been a few years, we put a couple more upgrades, or we maybe look into other of the base construction stuff that's in, I don't know if it'd be relative to this, to some of the other games, that like, and see if any of that like relates, because I like the idea of us building up and having a purpose, or walking away from that. And I really love legacy stuff too, so I love the idea of us doing something, having a session or two, setting up and now we're going to jump forward to, like, let's get Aksel married, let's get Aksel having some kids, let's do that type of thing, and then we can be like, okay, cool, now we're going to jump forward to 1993, mid United States, and this is now we're doing a Vaesen thing there, and it's the the great grandkids or whatever it is of characters, or maybe it's any of the characters that are here, type of a thing, and it could be a fun thing. That's the type of stuff that, like, just from a character creation and planning and like the role playing behind the scenes stuff, that really appeals to me.
Nice.
And it feels like they touched on that a little bit in this, and with like I said, with the fact that you have I say base, but it's not really base, but the fact you have a base of operations that you're kind of building on, and you're acquiring. I mean, you have like groundskeepers and stuff like that you're getting in the game mechanically, and we were filling that in with NPCs, right? Like we took that sailor and brought him back, and they're like, okay, you're going to be our, I forget what, like if he was the grounds guy or whatever it is, because you need a job, and your previous life is screwed up now, so here you go, you're in.
Right.
So I just had an idea while I was away,
Okay.
which could be fun. It's just a possible idea.
Mm-hmm.
Because now that we have Terry playing with us regularly,
Yes.
imagine we do put it forward like a year or something, and we literally like, I'll make up just another character, whatever, and then we're literally like, start the adventure opening a tomb in Egypt, because Aksel is going to try to find this elixir or preparation
Oh.
to bring Nils back.
Uh-huh.
So it could be like a whole like adventure just to do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would be great. Yeah, and have. I'm really curious, like what kind of character Terry would choose, and how that will how that will interact with the two of you, because you've already kind of got your set dynamic, and then to introduce this like X factor, or this, if he's going to play a priest or a doctor, to have like a hard science or a hard spiritual side. I think that would work very similar to Blade Runner, similar to when we added him to Blade Runner, and he was a replicant, but real straight laced. Yeah, real.
Yeah, he's a foil to everything that Amir tried to do. I was like, what do you think about this? He's like, no, man, I'm okay with it. I'm like, oh, no, it's a battle. We're supposed to be angry about things. What are you doing?
Terry plays a good Boy Scout.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Well, good. Well, yeah, this was fun going back through everything. And so now I want to take some time to talk a little bit about, so we got some comments on this actual play campaign. So there's a playlist that I linked in the description of all of our episodes. So I think it's 15 total. Yeah.
I was going to tell you, Jeremy, much earlier, and I forgot.
Oh, sure.
Sorry. You did the thing where the title is the wrong title.
Oh, okay. I'll fix it. I'll fix it in the. Oh, that's right. Because I didn't bother.
It says Mothership.
That's right. I didn't fix it in the length. Yeah, I always do that with the length of the title. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. But so yeah, let's talk a little bit about some comments. So we got comments early on, and I never addressed it. And then the same commenter actually elaborated on some questions and was curious about some of our choices for the world building. And I think we had kind of a unique situation because it was just the three of us, and you guys had decided to do characters that were very closely linked, like one was in the employ of another. And so the dynamic was going to be very different from having, this kind of league of extraordinary gentlemen like assembling to fight, to restore the balance in Scandinavia. And the unique thing about Vaesen is in the rule book, basically every campaign or every group starts the same. So they give you the history of the society. And all of your players, characters, have to be Thursday's children, which is the name for the people with sight, which means they see Vaesen, they see ghosts, they see the undead, and they have a dark secret, which is something in their history that makes them want to pursue this. Wants to pursue either researching or hunting down and killing these creatures, and so you have this interaction with this member of the defunct, a defunct kind of chapter, I guess, of the society. So everybody, when they start playing, meets Linnea Elfaclint, who is in a mental hospital, basically. And
I remember her.
Yes, and so she. Tells you about the kind of history of this society, and knows, somehow she knows that you are like her, and you see this thing, and she has you all of the players, then assemble at the Castle Gillenkreutz, and so this was, you're kind of resurrecting this defunct chapter. And so there's a whole introductory scene where then there's a butler at this castle that then welcomes you, and you start this kind of initiation into the secret society. Now, first of all, I'm not a big fan of societies like the Pathfinder Society or any society in games. So yeah, anybody, any group that would have me as a member, I'm not interested in. So it was a thing I wasn't really interested in playing up really crazy and like the stonemasons or skull and bones. I didn't want it to be some kind of weird thing like that. And it seemed that they gave you a lot of flexibility. Like the emphasis on this setting is make it your own. So what happened is we had this introductory scene, but we already had Nils as a butler, so the castle didn't need a butler. So we basically had a proprietor, a groundskeeper, a person that was just maintaining the place and was bringing it back. Bringing it back from its collapse, and it's actually, when you encounter it, it's in really bad condition. And right away, because Aksel had this kind of financial, he had financing, and he had this motivation. I thought, it's not a bad idea just for her to hand the keys over as if this was just a wealthy young man purchasing this building, and not, it's not like they're not putting a big sign, the return of the society and welcome back and all of your, it's not like Ghostbusters buying the firehouse kind of feeling. So this, the commenter was, so the Spicy Dungeoneer was asking us on YouTube about our campaign. And the first comment was, I think it was a mistake to give the whole castle to one character. So Nils basically has, ownership of the castle. My understanding was the castle is owned by the society in whole. Giving it to one character would turn off some players. But because we only had 2 players and the one was in the employ, it wasn't isolating anybody. It wasn't, changing that dynamic. So I thought it made sense. And it just kind of like right away, Aksel is kind of in, there's tension right away, and he's already in conflict with what's going on. Like this purpose of this society and this, they're kind of, the cults, or the what did they call it here, the Order of Artemis. So this ancient Order of Artemis that is their belief system, and he's already saying, well, I bought this place, so I really have to keep your funky statues, or I can sell these books, it's I own everything. So I like that right away. Even Aksel was kind of conflicted. He had kind of 2 ways to think about things. So then the commenter goes on and elaborates with we're kind of reiterating the first question and asking some follow-up questions. So number 1, why did you give the deed to Castle Gillenkrutz to only one character? It's supposed to be the property. And I really think because they emphasize it's collapsed, this particular chapter had a horrible thing happen. They had a conflict, kind of a schism in beliefs and purpose, and it fell apart. And I think we'll find out in the other mysteries and other kind of background that Free League will continue, when they continue supporting things. We'll see how that kind of plays out, because it sounds like in the adventure that's coming out soon, they're revealing Stockholm is, of course, the capital of the country's capital, and it's also probably going to be the main the main center of the society. So it would make sense for this resurrected chapter in Uppsala, which is a small town. It's not a major city, and it's just a little university town in Sweden. Why it would make sense. And question number 2, that this was interesting. You guys might be able to help me remember some of this. So. They said, similarly, why does only Linnea correspond with Aksel? Isn't Nils able to see the Vaesen? Isn't he also in the society? And I don't remember, I think just because you were like the manservant, I don't think you interacted directly with the old woman, even when you guys went to the hospital.
I can tell you just from a role-playing point of view, Nils would not consider himself a member of the society. Like he would be there because of and for Aksel.
Right. Okay.
So
I think that's what we were kind of going with, right? It's like, I think we even kind of almost straight up said it eventually, where it was basically that Aksel is the society in our mind.
Right.
Yeah, like and I think it's specifically because of the the fact we're playing with us two and the nature of the relationship of the characters is it's absolutely Nils has the sight, but if you can think of it as like he's been fostering this kid and like grooming's the wrong term. That sounds too strong. But like but,
I'll use that.
but like putting all of his effort into it, probably from guilt, and also, like I said, I always felt like there was an underlining thing of Nils probably was channeling some amount of like, we really like this bad thing happened to me and I didn't handle it at the time well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So can I have this kid who has every privilege in the world? Can I use all those things and have this kid be a like the thing to actually go out and affect this stuff? And I that's how my headcanon, like deep down, not that Nils didn't care for Aksel for that, but like that was in my mind what the drive was between the two characters. And because of that, we kind of went with Aksel was the driving force.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's the Green Hornet and Kato situation, right? It's like there's the guy who's like, I'm the one who's doing everything, and then there's the guy who's actually out there kicking butt and doing stuff, right? And that was that was kind of what our character, in my mind, our the broad character concepts is that there was Aksel, who's the face and the one who like is probably the detective and like has all the resources, and then there's the guy who's the one who's actually making stuff happen and getting stuff done, holding it all together, as this eccentric kid is spending his, just reading books all day long, and if his butler didn't bring him food, he'd have starved to death, type of a thing.
Well, and it was a fun kind of upstairs, downstairs, or Downton Abbey kind of thing where Aksel would sign off on all the big decisions and would drive sort of the momentum of the big picture stuff. Like, we're going to go here now. But then Nils was making all the low level decisions, and sometimes there was a little bit of, maneuvering between those two worlds. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, and I like the fact that we came up with such a kind of a unique situation in regards to the castle, because it became very, it was property of Aksel, so he had ownership, and the fact that it was probably cursed or falling apart, or maybe the target of a giant attack, was very much more concerning to him than if it was just some public meeting house. And then the last follow-up question was about the free ones. So Free League created this kind of cult in I believe is it in the logging, in the mystery that had the logging theme in it. And it said, "Why are the Free Ones a large national organization? I thought they were highly local to the Fernsta setting." And that was one of the things, because I wanted to come up with kind of two groups that were going to be trying to pull you two apart, and had kind of blackmail or interest to kind of seduce you into either opposing each other or kind of working against each other. And I had the religious kind of faction of the society that I thought worked well already, and they would be the ones, the Rosenbergers, and we introduced that right away with Olas Klint, the private detective that was a former member, and he was a true believer, kind of in the religious reason to exterminate the Vaesen. But I didn't have a name for for what was connected to that symbol that we keep seeing. They call it Odin's horns, the Triskele, the three kind of spiral. Spirals connected. And when the free ones was introduced, I was like, well, let's make that the thing, because instead of me kind of coming up, because the more research I did like online to come up with a Scandinavian like cult, it got a little there was a little National Socialism involved in just about everything, or some racial thought, and so I just there was, I didn't want to make a stupid reference or use a symbol symbol, there was actually like a white supremacist, or I wanted to stay away from all of that, and that's what the internet was full of. So I thought Free League already established the free one, so I took the Triskeley and applied it to them, and that's why they grew bigger than just that little cult that you guys were dealing with in the one mystery. And I thought, it worked better as on a larger scale, and I just didn't trust that I could choose iconography or words from Swedish that would, or from like Norse mythology or culture that wouldn't be used in some horrible way on the internet, and they kind of like ruin our actual play with whatever comments would show up.
Well,
yeah.
I feel like the whole thing was, this is what happens though with any type of module thing, right? It's like you make a module, you make a Ravenloft campaign, and then everyone shows up with necromancers, and you're like, oh, that's going to change how this works, right? Or if everyone shows up with paladins, oh, that's going to change how this works.
Yeah.
Whereas opposed to if everyone shows up with rogues, it's a different thing. And it's the same thing with this, because we said Vaesen, and then me and Matt had that conversation, like, but we want our characters to have this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's like, okay, well, let's run with that. That's why only really Aksel, though you could say that Nils has control over everything really in the world, right? Like does Aksel sign his own name? I don't even know if he does that. Anyway,
I seem to remember some adventure stuff where I had you sign papers.
Yes. And then along the same lines, my character's backstory, like his secret trouble thing, is that there's a cult that he got involved with early on he like did some stuff, and now they have a favor to call in, which also connected kind of with this stuff too. Right. In fact, I think that like it ended up with us in one of the later adventures in the before stuff, actually kind of confronting them a little bit.
Yes.
As just what like Matt was saying, we were just trying to get into all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's the result of a module, right? Like, the point of the module is to give you this framework for you to play in, and it's just like if I had said I'm going to run to the woods on that first adventure where we were at the cat, what was it called?
The witch cat. Yeah, the witch cat.
The witch cat.
Yep.
If I'd been like, oh no, I'm going to go this way, and I ran off into the woods for some reason, right? Like, you as a game, you don't say no, William. You can't. Yeah, right. Turn around, right? There's a certain contract you have when you're playing, right? Where like we're not gonna actively try to just derail everything and cause problems, but at the same time, that's why you have a game master, and it's not just a choose your own adventure book, right? It's like you're like every time something comes up, you're like, okay, well, we'll change this a little bit to make it work. So I have a cult that's in my backstory, so we'll connect this so that everything doesn't just seem like a bunch of disparate, unconnected stories. It makes it feel more like Matt was saying with that X-Files thing, where it's like, oh, well, this is connected. Oh, that Triskelion thing shows up. It's not Triskelion, but anyways, the triple swirl thing keeps showing up. How is that connected? And it's those little things that potentially, 5 years later, when we get through all the stuff, they may have answers for some of that stuff.
Right.
But at the time, you had 4 adventures, and you were building a story for our characters and me and Matt specifically, right?
Yeah,
so it's like stuff had to get changed and get moved around a little bit.
Right. Yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see, because if we do now include Terry, that will be an interesting dynamic where, this is, Aksel's place, and what are you doing here? Or we can throw you out, or, we're the society now. We can have some interesting dynamics. And also you kind of being confronted later with the greater society, like, them saying, okay, yes, we're taking over now, or this is, so you could actually become like another faction or another kind of group, opposed to whatever the society is doing. And also, as you're kind of unraveling their dark history, which I think is something that they're investigating with the Stockholm adventure that's coming out soon.
Well, and that's a great 1-2 punch for Aksel, right? Nils dies, and then he goes back, and then other people show up and are like, you're not as big of a deal as you thought and what you were doing. No, we're in charge. And right. I can imagine, at that point, that's when I'm like, oh, really? Because I'm I'm paying all these guys to come here with guns, and we're gonna take it to you guys, type of a thing.
Right. Yes. So, yeah. Matt, what you gonna say?
Oh, I'm just gonna say that like I haven't run a module or whatever you want to call it, prepared adventure directly from the material probably in like 30 years. like but I will read adventures and take inspiration from them.
Yeah.
And I think like if a game master is trying to make everything fit into these very tight parameters provided by the game publisher, like they're only going to set themselves up for disappointment. Like you take that stuff as your inspiration and like your loose guidelines, and then you interact with your players to determine what the best path is to take. And like I think because you had Nils. Oh, I don't remember which adventure it preceded, but you had him approached by somebody.
Yes.
From one of those societies who seemed to know Nils' secret. Right. And like that's way cooler than they're just this group doing things and we're gonna go find out what they're doing. Like it's way more interesting for what you did to tailor it to your players' characters. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So like, it's not really. I think you're setting yourself up for disappointment if you try to adhere to everything in an adventure.
Oh yeah. No, I think it's true, and it and it's fun to like see what kind of falls away. It's like, oh, that's not going to work. There's things that just won't follow through. Yeah. So thank you, Spicy Dungeon Master, for the questions and the just asking why we did what we did. Hopefully that was enough of an explanation to kind of make sense. And it's not it's not going to be something that can apply universally to anyone running this game, but this is just how we handled it. And I think our all of our actual plays are kind of like that. It's like, this is our version of Blade Runner. This is our version of Dune. Yeah, we really kind of tailor it to what we're interested in and what we enjoy doing in those worlds. So, and I think that's the real strength of roleplay. So thanks for the comments and keep them coming. And I apologize. I didn't want to just answer this as some quick reply in comments. I thought it'd probably be worth a little bit more discussion.
Make sure you change the video title so they know that
that's not a mothership unboxing. Yes. So well, thanks guys for spending some time talking about this. I really would like to get back to Vaesen, and if we can kind of come up with a way, because we've talked about a few things, and if we can come up with a way to get Aksel and Nils back together, I think we really should, and I think it would be a fun way to this, all the stuff we're setting up, it's a shame to walk away from that. So if we can find a way to get back to it and extend it, we should.
I think that'd be a lot of fun. And like I said, it could even be a thing where I just play like another character as a setup to that eventually happening.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you're some new person that's involved that oh my goodness. What if you're the new person that I don't know if you should know this, that I have to sacrifice to bring Nils back? Matt plays the character I killed to bring Nils back to some dark ceremony.
That would be wild. That would be wild.
Definitely.
I was thinking it might be kind of cool, especially if Terry ends up playing with us, if he wants to play with us. Like, if he makes just another person with the site who joins the organization and starts working with Aksel, might be kind of fun for me to play like the journalist lady or the sailor or like one of those people.
Yeah.
In kind of the interim,
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, because we have so many NPCs now that are
I
associated.
could totally see Axel wearing a pith helmet in a opening a tomb in Cairo. I'm telling you.
That would be great. Yeah, yeah. That would be really good.
And I just right now had a thought. Okay, so you know how because we have the site, we can see stuff, right? I mean, that sounds funny the way I said that. But so we saw the boar.
Yes.
Can everyone else see the boar?
No, I don't think. Only the guy with the staff. Yeah,
So-
basically. Yeah.
So the reporter lady, I think, was literally on the porch watching this go down.
You're right.
What did she see happen?
She just saw Nils get torn apart.
Right. This
Yeah,
guy just dying in a hole.
Or because of the chaos, like, does she think that Axel did something? Like,
Oh,
does
right.
she, like, is it
Yeah.
does she just see an invisible force doing something, or is her brain like
Or
trying to piece stuff together, or
Right.
or to follow up on what I was saying, is this the traumatic event where she
that gives her
gained-
the sight?
or has she gained the sight?
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's good too. Yeah. Wow. So we've got some thinking to do. We might actually do like another session 0 to kind of like figure out how we'll handle this. But there's some.
Yeah,
good
actually,
stuff.
that might be cool to do like a session 0 version 2 where Terry makes his character,
Oh yeah, right.
because then Will and I can be there bouncing ideas off of him, and that will kind of help me decide what I'm going to end up doing. So yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, so let's so we'll look forward to that. I don't know how we're gonna slot this in, but we will. We will. There's
Oh man, yeah, the list is long. It probably deserves a little bit of a priority upgrade over some other stuff, but yeah.
Oh, sure. Yes, that's true. Well, okay. Well, thank you everyone for hanging with us, and this was fun. I was happy to have a chance to get back to this just discussion of where we have been and where we can go. And it's still, I can't believe that it was only 5 mysteries. I mean, it was 14, 15 sessions, but yeah, we only played 5 mysteries in the game. So there's a lot more. There's a lot more to do. They have a lot of published stuff, and then the world we've already built. I think there's a lot of fun. I think Aksel may need to go to Egypt. I think that's something that might need to happen.
That could be cool.
He's gonna get sunburned. He's very pale.
Oh, that's right.
Not gonna go well for him.
All right. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll be back again very soon with the weekly, and then with some more Fallout. So I think we'll all be around for some Fallout RPG on Friday night, and then Thursday night for the weekly. So yeah, thanks again for joining us. Subscribe to the channel if you want notifications when we go live like this again, and take a look at the playlist in the description, which I just added. If you want to actually hear some of the campaign itself, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.